public way, but also like on the everyday kind of like day-to-day basis of just being like honest. I don't think it happens enough. I think like we try to, especially with social media, we like try to put like, hey, my life is so great, but then
too, that's part of who you are outside of writing. I mean, it seems like you're like some of the stories we've heard tonight. I mean, it just seems like it is part of you that you share very honestly.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit inappropriate. Truly, you know, I some of it, I always feel a little, when people say, oh, it's so hard to be honest, like, because, you know, actually it's harder for me not to be. I've always been willing to kind of say a little bit more or go to the intimate place or ask a question that seems sort of like, you know, beyond what was polite to ask. That's sort of innately who I've been as a child. When I was like a kid in like 7 or 8, when my mom had friends over, you know, before they came, she'd say to me like, okay, you can only ask them 3 questions, you know? Because I would like corner some dude and be like, when did you first fall in love and why did you love her? And you know, I was always curious, like the thing that I've been the most deeply curious about my whole life is that the emotional realm and that very thing that you're talking about, the difference between who we appear to be and who we are, the things that we do and the things that we're actually thinking. You know, what is the engine that drives you to be in love with this person instead of that person, or lie, you know, about this part of your life? Like, I've always been curious about that, and inevitably, what that demanded was for me to not just be curious about it in myself, but to actually write about it. And I think that the thing we fear, when you say it's hard to be honest, you know, I think there's 2 pieces of it. One is that thing where we think somehow that if we're not honest with ourselves about ourselves, that we're safe, we're protected, and we, you know, the actual truth is we're not. You know, we suffer, denial makes us unhappy, right? But the other piece of that is if we're honest with the world about who we know ourselves to be, we fear that we'll be judged or rejected or condemned. And for me, honestly, I think that what I found is that's usually not true. Like we actually, most of us don't like people who appear to us to be perfect. We are turned off by them. We don't believe them. We feel inferior to them, and we don't trust them because they're not credible. Who's the most credible person in the room? The person who you feel like, you know, they're showing you on the outside what's the closest to who they are on the inside. That's who we trust. That's who we find credible. When you're writing a character, a fictional character and a non-fictional one, that's what you're concerned with. Do the readers, not do the readers like this person, do the readers believe this person? And I think that what I've found is when I present myself as somebody who's believable, I'm most likely to receive the thing I want more than anything, and that is love and acceptance. That when you are vulnerable with somebody, they are vulnerable with you. One of the most striking things that happened to me in the last few years, when Oprah picked Wild for her book club, she, you know, just like called me up on my cell phone, and she really did.
Does it come up like?
I mean, my cell phone just rang, and I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on my book tour, and Wild had been out a couple months, and you know, everything was grand, and I saw this like Chicago number, and I answered it in a sort of distracted way, and it was Oprah Winfrey, and she's like, I really love your book, I just finished reading your book, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And, we had this like amazing conversation, and this is what cracks me up. Still to this day, I do my own website, my own little humble. That's me like making things be on and off my website. So we're on the phone and we talked for like an hour, and she's like, so I'm on your website now and I see you're gonna be in LA this weekend, you know, on your book tour. And I'm like, you're looking at my website, on the words that so she's like, will you come to my house this weekend? And so I did, and I went to her house in Santa Barbara. I kid you not, like we're on the phone, and then like, you know, 4 days later, I'm, you know, driving up to her house. Hello, people up there. I feel like I've really ignored you in terms of eye contact. I still can't see you. And the night before I met Oprah, I mean, I knew obviously a lot about Oprah, but I thought I'm going to bone up on Oprah, and so I read, which means what I did, we all do when we're boning up. I read her Wikipedia page. Yeah. It says that like Oprah, like statisticians, and I don't know how to say that word, but that word, they're like, no, she's the most powerful woman in the world, and they mean this in like actual measurable ways. They've measured the power of Oprah. They've been like, Oprah is the reason that Obama won his first election for presidency. Like they actually attribute that number of votes to Oprah Winfrey, and that is, I mean, things like that. It's amazing. So I go and I meet the most powerful woman in the world, and I walk down this path in this redwood forest, which is her front yard, and then there's like Oprah Winfrey, and she's like, Cheryl, and I'm like, hi, and we hug, and she has me sit down at this table, and immediately what I see in Oprah's eyes is the exact same thing I know is in my eyes, and that is fear and hope and a desire to be liked. That sort of uncertainty where you meet somebody that you hope will greet you warmly and with welcome. And I thought, that is why you are the most powerful woman in the world. That is why you are so successful. Because this is what she rode all the way to the top, is her humility, her curiosity, her desire to be as honest as she could possibly be at every moment of her life. And I think that is really it. Like, I think that's, so when you say this thing that you fear is being honest, it's actually, the most powerful thing you have is the person you are. That's what you have to give. We don't want the fucking facade. I mean, the facade is like, it's you trying to be like everyone else. What's really inside is, the thing that only you can be. So be her. And good luck.
I love you.